Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Those sort of marks, is that pretty typical of what contact experiencers have on their body after an event?
Certainly involving abductions. There have been many cases of triangular marks, circular marks, and other types of strange marks which are inexplicable.
Heard it all. Everything. Oh, they must have been on LSD, and people have said, I don't believe a word you say, you're nuts, you're crazy, you belong in a straitjacket. And I say, well, it's part of my life, I can't deny it. And one of the things that's really weird is that you find yourself getting used to the idea that you've been abducted, and that's weird in itself.
I remember as a child at night, I had just gone to bed. My mother just put me to bed, and I could see the lights on in the living room. I just laid down for bed. I could hear my parents, I could hear the television, and I looked up, and to my right I saw a couple, very shadowy, very dark, in my bedroom, a man and a woman, and they started walking towards me. It's very frightening. I couldn't speak. I wanted to call out to my mother. I couldn't call out to her. I was just terrified. And right about that time, she walked into the room, and it appeared that she walked directly through the two people that were standing.
Executives, Coastal Bend, and Corpus Christi, Texas. And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Alien Strand podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. It's going to be another good one. Yeah. So, I'm going to have another guest on today, and very nice person. He contacted me a while back, and he's from Australia, so I want you guys to know that, and you know, it took a lot of courage for him to come on the show and just, you know, talk about the things that he wanted to get out, right? And wants all of you to hear of what he has, right? And maybe it'll help a couple of you guys as well. But before we get started, welcome to Alien Strand Podcast. We're on 23, 24 platforms. Catch us on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, alienstrand.com, YouTube, and just find us everywhere, right? We're on so many platforms already that, you know, it's kind of hard to remember all these already. But if you just Google Alien Strand Podcast, you'll find us there. Just Google it, man, and you'll see us. We're everywhere. I think we're about 7 countries already, and it's spreading everywhere. And we're just getting out there because everybody wants to hear a lot of these stories and the things that are happening to people on a daily basis that you don't get to hear every day, right? So that's what Alien Strand here is about, right? So, I have a couple announcements to make too as well, but, I'm just glad you guys are here. It's an exciting day. And, all my friends from the United Kingdom, Australia, from here in the States, United States, listening every day, call me every day, talk to me every day. And, we talk about these things that happen every day, right? So, but I do put out a lot of content on Facebook. So you have a chance, go on Facebook, go look at the videos that I put out there every day. I even put out a daily funny sometimes. I put out a lot of historical facts out there, because Alien Strand is not just about aliens and UFOs, and it's about Bigfoot, paranormal stuff. I throw out a lot of paranormal. I've been throwing that out recently. Bigfoot's kind of hiding right now. So, we're just kind of waiting for some more stuff to come out on Bigfoot, right? Because I'm so excited about Bigfoot too, I really love the stories on Bigfoot and everything that he's about, Sasquatch, He's not just here in the States, he's in Antarctica. Yeti, they call him up there, I believe, in Asia. So, this creature is everywhere as well. There's just different names for him as well, right? So, but that's what Alien Strand's about, right? We're about the information, right? We're trying to give you the information that you're looking for in ufology, right? And if you just get into ufology, well, welcome to ufology. Welcome to listening to Alien Strand Podcast. Here you will learn a lot about ufology and about everything. I just did one on quantum. I believe that was number 62. I did a podcast there, and that's about possibly going back in time or in the future. That's a really good podcast. And I just did one with Amanda as well, number 63, and she had an abduction story, several stories that she went through in her lifetime, right? And it's still happening today. Thank you, Amanda, for bringing your story out. It got a lot of attention out there. A lot of people were contacting me about it. And, it's just stories out there that happen to people every day, like I explained earlier. And for my next guest that I have, he's going to be coming on here in a minute. He did experience these things as well. And I think it was very important that he contacted me, and we talked for about a week and a half or so, and he's from Australia, and his name's D, and he wanted to get his story out, and that's exactly what we're doing here today. But before we get going on that, I got 2 announcements that I want to make here real quick. The first announcement is I am putting more stuff on YouTube, so if you have a chance, go to Alien Strand there on YouTube, throw a search button there, and hit a like and subscribe. I am going to be putting out one called Alien Strand Docs. So all it is going to be like some small clips of UFOs, a little bit of documentary, a little information, only on the weeks that we will be going slow. And the only reason I'm saying this is because my next little surprise I have for you guys is I'm happy to announce that I will be writing a book. Yes, I decided to write a book, and it's about everything that I have been studying here with Alien Strand and with you guys and sharing. I read so many articles every day, and I do so much research on everything that I think that it's best to put it in a book, so that way you can go back and reference to. So it's not just going to be a how-to or a book, but it's going to be something you can reference back to, right? And it's going to be at least 22 chapters that I'm going to throw in there for you guys. It's going to take me a little bit to write it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you guys and for everybody out there, so you can get the information on everything that's happening out, that's just of the unknown, right? And everything that I'm going to put together is going to be for you guys. So be on the lookout for that book. It's going to be coming out maybe in a few months. It's going to take me a while to write it, but I will get it out for sure. And that's going to be a priority for me. Okay. And then I will be doing, after that, I'm just getting a lot of projects going. So I do have LEDZ Productions. That's LEDZ Productions. Check us out on Facebook as well. Check us out there. And, we are writing a script for the movie Eden. And that's a post-apocalyptic movie that we're writing. And we're about most of the way on the script already. We're just trying to get it all together, okay? But those are the announcements that I have for you guys that I wanted to share with all of you. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this story out. This is from a gentleman named D from Australia, and he contacted me, of course, and we talked about it. And he was a little hesitant about getting his story out, but I'm glad that he was able to just say, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I talked to him. It's just pre-recorded, but it's a great story, and you guys sit there and listen to this story as what he has to say. And like I say, everything that I do on Alien Strand, I put it together. I put everything together like a piece of the puzzle. So these stories are a piece of the puzzle of Amanda's stories, and are a piece of puzzles from the previous stories that I had. And you'll see those come together. So let's go ahead and get this thing going now. All right, here we go. All right, so on the phone right now we have D. Are you there?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for contacting me and contacting the show. You kind of sent me some messages, and I started reading those, and I noticed that the stories that you were telling were kind of like they were coinciding with a couple of my guests that had been on prior. And then we started talking a little bit more about what was happening with you. And you currently live in Australia, right? Correct?
Yeah, in Perth, Australia, actually. They say it's the most isolated city in the world. Nothing big really happens here.
Nice. Well, I'm sure it's nice and quiet out there too. So let's go ahead and just start from the beginning and kind of tell our listeners today of what exactly happened to you and what kind of alerted you to the things that were happening to you.
All right. Well, I suppose I'll start from the very beginning. This was would have been back in 2006, and I would have been 11 years old at the time. Mm. And I had a sheltered childhood, not completely sheltered, but I was outside playing with friends, riding skateboards and BMX. Never on any technology or really exposed to anything supernatural or any phenomena.
Right.
Yeah, and then it was just one night. I remember almost photographic memory of this whole incident, but I remember going to sleep, and my room was I had a corridor outside my room which went through the whole house, but I was at the back of the house on my own. Mm-hmm. Everyone else was at the other end, or my parents only. But I remember just waking up, to this, I don't know how to describe it, like a low frequency buzzing or humming noise. The best way to describe it actually was like the inside of my head was vibrating.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know if other people have experienced that, but it was just such a strong vibration coming from just the best place I can say is directly inside my own head.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. first choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
New on Curiosity Stream, we've walked with dinosaurs. We've explored our prehistoric planet, and we were always told the same story. Extinction came from the sky. But what if dinosaurs survived? Amazing Dino World 2. Watch it now on Curiosity Stream. With monthly, annual, and bundle plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
And I've woken up, but I've realised I can't move anything but my eyes.
Wow.
And this is all so new to me, so strange. This is nothing like this has ever happened, and I get a real bad sense, of something bad happening. Almost like terror-like, just go through my whole body. And I remember, looking upwards, and what I could see was, this, a big head with, big black eyes, and my memories try to suppress it. I know there was a body there. It was quite small because the head was quite close to mine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, if it was wearing, clothes or not, but from the best of my memory, I don't think it was. And then it was just sheer shock, I just thought, this is a nightmare. This is terrifying. I try to look and scream and move. I can't. And I looked over to my door, where my door was next to this hallway, and then my door was closed, but there was two more standing there,
Wow.
The big black, big round heads, the big black eyes, Now I'd say almond shape, but at the time I didn't even know how to describe them. Just, the slants in the eyes. So sinister looking. That's how I found them. It was absolutely terrifying.
Could you see the actually like the color of their skin, or just kind of look like a silhouette?
No, I could see them like as if they were real or humanoids or humans, like real people in my room. They were grey, 100% grey.
Wow.
Going towards like a darkish grey, not completely dark, but definitely grey in colour. And I remember I had a clock on my bedside table, and I believe it was about somewhere around 2 a.m. when this was all going on. I had a bedside clock, it glowed green with normal time, digital time on it, and it was around 2 or something when this was happening.
Wow.
And then I remember just waking up, not paralyzed anymore. These beings were gone, and my father was walking past the hallway. You got to get up ready for school soon,
Right.
And I'd only recently remembered this. I remember looking at the clock, and it was about 5:30 in the morning, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it at all.
Wow. And that usually happens to, like I was talking about before, a lot of people. Let me ask you something real quick. Let's go back just a second. So when you heard that low frequency, was it audible, or was it just something that the tone was so low that you couldn't really hear it with your ear? It was just kind of rumbling. Is that what you were getting?
Yeah, it was. I couldn't hear anything else but this vibrating sort of sensation, which was coming. It felt like directly inside my own head. Yeah.
Wow.
I'd definitely drowned out all other noise.
And then you had some sort of sleep paralysis in a sense, right? So, and like you were just kind of, you were just locked down. You couldn't move, but you could move your eyes, correct?
Yeah, I could. That's the only thing I could move, and I'd seen these three things that at the time I couldn't even describe what they were. I'd never seen anything of the light. You know, being a sheltered kid, you know, just always outside and playing. I never had any interest in supernatural or anything, so I didn't even know what I was really looking at.
And do you guys like live in an urban style or like a sort of countryish style out there?
We were in the suburbs, on the outskirts of the city. Like you wouldn't call it directly in the city. We're quiet on the outside. There's all rural bushland around, just behind the suburb. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense too. You know that a lot of these crafts, UFOs, or these extraterrestrials or beings, they always in more secluded areas. Of course, I've told a story or two of people that actually happened to them in the city, but you know, close to the country where these things happen. Okay, so after that, your dad opens the door, and then what comes next?
And there's a door like nothing, and just keeps walking down the hallway till he's to the living room. You know, to start his morning, and you know, sort of have to start my day and have school. You know, and then I just try to put it off as just a vivid nightmare. Like you know, that was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. You know, I didn't know how to explain it at the time.
Right.
And I remember trying to do some research, and I had this thing called sleep paralysis for the first time, and I almost 100% convinced myself that I had a bout of sleep paralysis. You know, where there's an old witch sitting on their chest, or there's so many different types. You know that people have seen.
Right. Yeah, but the only different thing about that, D, is that you're 11. A lot of these, at the time when it happened, right? So a lot of these sleep paralysis, it has a lot to do with fatigue, tiredness, stress. Stress levels are real high, you know, especially when you do have that sleep paralysis effect. You know, when you feel something on top of your chest pushing down on your body, you know, and you can't move, just your eyes. But in your sense, nothing was pressing down on your chest. You heard that low audible sound, and then, you know, you started seeing these beings that were standing there. You couldn't move anything but your eyes. So that's what makes it just a little bit different from the sleep paralysis effect that people get. You know, and they say 1 out of 10, 1 out of 4 people get that actual, you know, and it has to do with overworked, tiredness. A lot of times that happens to them, but you know, at that time when it happened to you, you're 11, you know? So, I mean, I don't know how much stress you were under or anything like that, and that's why I believe that it's a possibility that something did happen to you instead of it being just sleep paralysis.
Yeah, right. Well, I, definitely no sensation on my chest, just this vibrating frequency in my head, and these three beings that I'd never seen before or couldn't describe, but I think because of the sheer shock and terror it did to me, I just forced myself to believe that it must have been sleep paralysis. But you know, I was a happy 11-year-old, no stress at all, living a real normal life. You know.
Nice. Yes. Right.
But then what got me later was. It was a few months later after this had happened, you know, I was just slowly, you know, starting to forget about it, you know, or just put it in the back of my mind and lock it away, you know, that I didn't have to think about it. Hadn't told anyone or anything, you know, the last thing I would do is tell my parents. I'd think I was, you know, crazy or something.
Right.
But I remember they had a special segment on the TV to do with UFOs and alien encounters, and I caught my interest, and I thought, you know, what is this? I've never heard of UFO before, like, or aliens. To me, an alien was, you know, something with tentacle arms or big green heads and, you know, like monsters out of like video games like Doom or something, you know.
Right.
That was my idea of an alien.
Mm-hmm.
And so this TV segment that they were going to show, it really caught my attention. And I thought, you know, well, I'm going to watch it, you know. I'm a bit interested now, you know.
Right.
Let's just see what this is about.
Right.
And, you know, the first half, really, they only spoke about, like, UFOs and seeing strange things in the sky. But then they got to a part where they were interviewing a few abductees, apparently. And at one stage, they had produced drawings or, you know, pictures recreated from these people's experiences. And what shocked me, literally just completely shocked me, was they looked exactly the same as what I'd seen in my room that night.
Wow.
And I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, well, you know, this must just be a coincidence, you know, maybe this is just a thing the imagination, you know, can make up. But, you know, they say your imagination, or when you dream, you only see things that you have actually seen in real life yourself.
Right, right.
And after that, I was almost traumatized, you know. I thought something was seriously wrong there, you know. So still didn't tell anyone.
Right. So at that point, that's when you realized, okay, wait a minute. Whatever was there was actually something I saw, and it's similar to that. And so that's when you actually wrapped your head around, okay, maybe this thing that was happening to me was real. And
yeah, exactly.
Right. And then, so, and I try to think about this too as myself, because I hear a lot of people talk about these stories and when it happened to them when they were younger and they were kids. A lot of these stories, you know, when they talk about dreams, you know, I mean, I'm sure you're an older adult now, you know, to go back and remember something like that vividly means that it had a high impact on you. So if you still remember it today, then yeah, something happened. You know, we have hundreds of dreams, you know, every day, you know, even, you know, for your whole life. And then to have one of these dreams actually look like something you saw prior, you know, and then actually you start thinking, okay, wait a minute, was this real? Right? So, yeah, and so, and that's I wanted to get that out, you know, because I just think that's important for our listeners out there to think about that when you're telling your story here right now, is that, you know, you're remembering something that happened when you were, you know, 11 years old, you know. So no, but keep going on what happened next after that.
Yeah, well, that it definitely made an impact on me. You know, I had a bit of trauma after the initial realization that, you know, there had been other people around the world that had, or in Australia, that had seen the same thing that I had. And I started to think, you know, well, maybe I'm not alone here. This is something pretty scary. But I still couldn't bring myself to, you know, tell my parents or anything like that. I just, you know, I thought I'd be labelled crazy or something like that, you know.
Right.
I tried to repress it as much as I could.
Right, right.
And in time I did, you know. I had put it at the back of my mind quite deep that I wouldn't, you know, think about it for a long time, and from time to time I'd remember it, you know. I had a couple, maybe a year or two after that where it was kind of scary going to bed because I was worried that this thing might happen again, but it never did at that point. Thankfully.
Well, yeah.
I think I was too young to comprehend and deal with it again.
Right, right.
But then jump 6 years into 2012. I was 17 at this point, and I actually witnessed my first UFO. And to me, that was just incredible. Wow. to see this.
Wow.
Nothing I'd ever seen before. You know, I always watch the skies after the encounter 6 years ago, or what I call encounter. I always, they say keep watching the skies. You never know what you'll see, and I hadn't seen anything. But one night I was walking a suburb away, which is downhill from the suburb we were at, and just behind that suburb is a huge patch of bushland, like kilometres and kilometres wide, longer than that. And I'm with a good friend of mine. It was my best friend at the time, and suddenly in the sky we seen a red light slowly floating down from the sky. We were some distance away, so it was hard to sort of know how big it was, but I could tell it was quite big. Maybe the size of like a combi van, or maybe even a tiny bit bigger than that.
Wow.
And then it was round in shape. I knew that, but after floating down, it suddenly stopped midair, and that's when me and my friend got real worried, because we thought it was just a flare or something. Being red, sometimes people shoot off flares. Like, it's not too often it happens, but you thought maybe, this was just a flare. But when it stopped midair, we definitely knew this wasn't a flare of any sort. And then it stayed in midair for some time. And we kept walking towards where it was hovering, as I should say. And then after about, a couple of minutes, it just shot straight down into the bushland. And I've also got photographic memory of this, because I remember the whole bushland where it supposedly landed just lit up a dark red, bright red.
About how high was this craft from you guys? In other words, I mean, as far as feet or meters above you guys.
So when we witnessed it, we were maybe 6 kilometers roughly from where it was supposedly landed. So it was hard to judge, but it was quite high. I'd say, maybe 100 meters in the air before it descended. Okay. And then it stopped just above, or a little bit above where the tree line starts, Right. And after that, that's when it shot down and just illuminated this bushland, this bright red. It's like almost a piercing red color. It's something out of War of the Worlds, when there's all red everywhere.
Right. Did how was the trajectory on that? In other words, did it look like something that, like, in 2012 that we could have possibly had, as far as those kind of speeds, or how it comes down and it just shoots it like in an L shape or in an angle? I mean, was the trajectory something, and the speed, was it like something we just can't recreate that?
Yeah, after hovering in the air for the 2 or so minutes it did, when it finally shot down to the ground, it was quick, Right. And the bush immediately lit up, as soon as it sort of hit the ground. The bush just went red completely. Right. And it was a large area that was, glowing.
Right. In other words, did it look like something was driving this thing?
I would say so, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
My friend, he was like, "This is a UFO, I've never seen one," and I was like, "Yeah, me neither," We were on our way to my house at the time, which was right next to that area, actually.
Right.
Which is kind of funny that it was happening so close to where I lived. But we stopped on the way to a friend's house, and we went inside, and we spoke to him for about 15 minutes. We were 17, just catching up as friends do. And then me and my friend remember that we had just seen this thing prior, and we were still sort of thinking, maybe there's a logical explanation for this.
Right.
But we got our friend to come outside and see if this thing was still there. And sure enough, when we walked out the front, the bush was still lit up red.
Oh, wow! It was still sitting out there.
Yeah, it was still sitting there. The bushland was still glowing red in the same large area that it initially was. And then I knew it wasn't a flare, definitely at that stage or anything like that. I knew then there was definitely no logical explanation.
Yeah, because you're talking, what, about 10, 15 minutes later, possibly?
Yeah, definitely 15 minutes, if that, later, yeah.
Wow.
So I knew then there was nothing logical that could explain it. And our third friend, he just said, I can't believe this. I've never seen anything like this, This is just crazy. And me and my other friend were like, well, you know what, we're going to walk to go to my house, but if we get there and this is still going on, let's go and investigate,
Right. So did y'all take off walking out there, or kind of just left it alone?
Sorry?
Did y'all take off walking out there, or just kind of left it alone?
Yeah, so the friend I was with initially, we continued down towards where my house was, and this was sort of just behind that in the bushland there. So
right.
We were walking towards my house, but we decided, if it was still there then, we were going to go and, wander out there to try and see what it is.
Oh. Wow.
Unfortunately, we went sort of in a dip between the two suburbs where you go below sea level, and we lost sight of the bushland for, I'd say maybe, 4 or 5 minutes. And then when we finally got to an area above the ground where we could see the bushland again, it was gone. There was no red, nothing.
Nothing. Wow. And
I don't know if we missed something shooting up in the sky, or we just weren't looking at the time or not. But it was gone, and it was just such a shame,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys are, just kind of wondering. Yeah, we want to see if there's things still there. Excited, kind of, just to get a good glimpse at it, and then it's gone, and that's understandable, and as far as like, you probably feel like, oh man, that's, I get it, I've been there myself. So, but I'm sure that, do you still talk to your friends that witnessed that?
No, I don't actually. One of them had an accident, and
oh, no.
he moved away, and I lost contact with the third peer that we, dragged out the front to have a look. But we sort of said we wouldn't speak about this, because people would think we're crazy, because nothing happens in this town. Everything's real hush. We didn't want to be those guys that said, we saw something. But we were so convinced that the next morning, I thought, I would go on Facebook and the news, and someone or a lot of people would have seen it, because it was still quite early when this happened. I was sure the next morning I would read something in the news or on one of the Facebook, community pages that did anyone else see this. But to my shock, no one had.
Wow.
And that was really disappointing for me, because I was hoping there was a big hype and I could, actually comment then and say, I saw this too,
Right.
I saw exactly where it supposedly went and landed, but no one had reported seeing it. It was a real shame.
Yeah, and it happens a lot out here in the States,
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, But you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Every day, my company gets scam phishing emails trying to get money or sensitive info. I wanted to protect my employees and my clients, so I checked out CISA's Secure Our World. They've got simple ways we can protect our businesses from online threats. First, teach employees to recognize and report phishing. Next, require strong passwords plus multi-factor authentication. And finally, turn on automatic updates for your business software. To learn more, go to CISA at cisa.gov/Secure Our World.
When somebody sees something, or somebody posts a video up, you automatically 10, 15 people or 5 people will just say, hey, I saw that last night, or I got a small video of it too. And we get to get different angles of everything when people see something like that. But unfortunately on your end, it wasn't, nobody saw it, I guess, or reported it. So so has anything else happened to you after that?
Well, yeah, the strange thing is, after that incident, it was maybe about 6 or 8 weeks later where I had what I describe as my second encounter. Though I still really, I've always tried to find the logical side of things, and I'll get into that a bit after as well. But yeah, I describe it as my second incident, and it was about 6 or 8 weeks after we saw this UFO, where I went to sleep one night on a real ordinary night. I think I'd work the next day actually, and I remember being in a dream where I'm in my primary school, which is I don't know if it's called the same over there, but that's from like years 1 to 7.
Okay.
So when you're still a little kid,
right.
I would have been around 11 actually in the dream.
Yeah, it's like middle school, I guess what they call here. Middle school, right?
Yeah, right. So I would have been about 11 in this dream, and I'm in my school, and I'm being chased by something sinister that I just don't know what it is, but I know there's something real bad out there that's chasing me. I'm with a friend from school, and we're just trying to get away from something as bad as we can. And we're running through the whole school grounds, go up and down through all the buildings. And, from the start of the dream, I knew there was definitely, something sinister about it.
Right.
And then we go past a section of the school where it's, they're called demountables, but they're like moving houses where they're, like on wheels. You can pick them up and take them away.
Mm-hmm.
I run past one, but the door suddenly opens. And my friend that I was with, he, takes off. He keeps running, but I just had this compulsion to just stop running and just stare at this door that was opening to one of these buildings. And out of the doorway is this bright blue, white, almost blinding light,
Mm-hmm.
And out of the doorway steps out one of those greys, as I knew now to call them, exactly the same as I'd seen in that first encounter when I was 11. And he just sort of, or he or it, sort of puts its hand out towards me, just still standing there stationary.
Uh-huh.
And I just had this compulsion just to walk towards it, which is exactly what I did. And I'm walking slowly, I've still got this almost photographic memory of this. And I stick my hand out, and as our hands or fingers touch, I suddenly wake up in my bed, but paralyzed.
Wow.
Can only move my eyes, nothing else. I don't see anything else in the room at this stage. You know, I don't feel anything sinister, but I'm remembering exactly what happened in this dream. And I lie there paralyzed for a few minutes, and then the next thing you know, I'm waking up and it's morning, and I just think, wow, that was really, really bizarre.
Do you think that dream was kind of telling you like in other words, like sort of like welcome? In other words, he's putting his hand out to you, and you start reaching out for it, and then when y'all touch, it just wakes up, but you're still paralyzed in a sense. So, I mean, I'm getting that sense, like, you know, we're here in a sense, or a welcoming of some sort. You've already seen it once, and then, you experienced it once before, and then you experienced it again with your friends, and then now you're dreaming about it again, right? And then this is actually happening to where it's affecting your body when you're waking up again.
Yeah, I definitely can, agree with what you're saying, because at the start of the dream and the whole running up to that point, I felt really terrified and scared. But it's almost when the door opened and I saw that being, my mood changed completely to calm. It didn't feel like a bad, sinister dream anymore, you know? Right. It was really, really strange. It's like a nightmare becoming, you know, a good dream in a sense.
Right. Well, you weren't afraid. You weren't afraid, in other words.
Yeah, I wasn't afraid anymore. Right. And really bizarre. But I remember when I did wake up that morning, you know, after being paralyzed, left in my bed after, and then waking up and it's, you know, the sun's up, you know. I see little blots of blood on my white bed sheets. And yeah, that was for me. I just couldn't work out where it come from. You know, I checked my body and couldn't see any. I didn't have any cuts or any, you know, any indication of where it come from. And I got up and went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I had a bit of a blood nose from my right nostril.
Wow! So your nose was bleeding.
Yeah, I had a blood nose during the night. Yeah.
Was it a large amount of blood, or was it just kind of a couple of drips here or there, or it's kind of like a small stream that just stopped?
There was a few drips on the bed sheets, a good couple, but there was from my nose there was you could see where like a small stream had been.
Oh.
And you know, this had never happened in my sleep prior to this, and since it hasn't happened. And I've always, you know, I've always believed in, you know, coincidences, you know, and I've always tried to say, you know, it was just a coincidence I had a blood nose that night when I had this dream, but it just seems almost, you know, too good to be true to have this, you know, weird, bizarre dream where I had this backwards paralysis compared to the first encounter, and then I had this, you know, blood nose as well. It just seemed so strange. Like, is it a coincidence, or, you know, is it not? You know,
right? I think you heard the podcast before this one with Amanda, correct? You heard that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got some similarities to it. Your story too. I mean, not the same story, but as far as like being introduced to it. So she was introduced to it as a child, right? And then she started experiencing it even more and more as the years progressed, you know, for her. And, you know, she's still young too, like yourself. But, you know, she ended up experiencing a lot of things and still experiencing things that she's trying to wrap herself around what's happening, right? and it's starting to manifest itself into different things. So, but in your case, it seems to be the manifestation of the whole thing seems to be still extraterrestrial. In other words, the gray, the alien, the beings that you're seeing, the paralysis that you're going through, and then now you wake up this time and now you have physical evidence instead of because with sleep paralysis, if nobody's watching you having this. Or actually seeing this happen to you, you really don't have any evidence, right? As far as something happening to you, only what you're feeling inside as you as a person, right? But when you actually wake up and then you have blood in your nose and you wake up, it's like, okay, wait a minute, this thing just touched my hand. I just woke up and I'm still here paralyzed, and then all of a sudden I have blood coming out of my nose. What's going on, right? And I'm sure that's going through your mind as well as what she's experienced the same way, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this was the first time that I had any sort of physical thing left on me, which is another shock, But I try to repress it at the time, just say coincidence. But the more stories I listen to and the more I research, I think can it be a coincidence, or it just I'm starting to believe that maybe it wasn't.
Well, yeah, and you try to wrap yourself around it too. I mean, if it's like what you're doing here today is going to help a lot of people too, right? Just like what she did, because you're explaining yourself of what happened. A lot of people can't do that. Why? Because you said it yourself earlier. If I talk about it, people are going to think I'm crazy or something, that, didn't happen to me, or I'm just making something up, or just trying to put your name on the map. You're not trying to do that. You're just trying to figure out, okay, what happened to me? And it's happening, and it happened to these people that were on this podcast on Alien Strand, and thank you for calling me, and giving us this story, because it actually, the puzzle does fit, and it fits your criteria. In other words, what happened to them, it happened to you, and we're talking different parts of the world, so we're just not looking at one geolocation, right? Just one place. We're looking at different places that the same thing's happening. So, I do believe that, something did happen to you, and it has affected you to where you remember, and you still can't get it out of your mind. In other words, now, do you still dream about this, or do you kind of like, every once in a while, or something comes up, or do you get a memory here or there that just kind of springs on you?
You know what? I don't get any dreams about it at all, and I've always been into my meditation, well, really for the past 3 or 4 years, but nothing's coming back about it at all. And I had a few bouts of sleep paralysis where I think it happened again, where 3 nights in a row I was waking up paralyzed with this humming, vibrating sound in my head, but I could force myself to move before anything happened, but it felt as if something was just about to walk through my door every time. And, and it would scare the hell out of me when that was happening. And I even went to see a doctor who was quite skeptical about sleep paralysis and all that, and he said, maybe you've got narcolepsy, we'll do a sleep test, and it all came back normal. But after that, the sleep paralysis or the paralyzing, it didn't happen. But I haven't had anything pop up about the past encounters, no.
Now, let me ask you this question. Do most people, when they experience an actual sighting, a close encounter of the first kind, second kind, you got first, second, and I believe you got third. But when people experience those kind of sightings, have you kind of been seeing more of those sightings as time goes on? As you look up in the sky, you see things just kind of go by quickly. You're starting to catch these extraterrestrials, these crafts actually, a little more often than you normally do.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny you say that, because I did have my second UFO encounter, which was only in 2019, or actually, I believe it was the end of 2018 in December.
Wow.
And I may have mentioned it briefly in the first message I sent you, but I was fishing one night on a big rock wall in the Indian Ocean, and I'd started at around 6 p.m. and it was a slow night. I hadn't caught too many fish. I was probably only going to go to about 3 and then pack it in and go home and have a good night's sleep. But I suddenly realised I saw three red lights appear on the horizon, but they appeared one at a time. So at first there was just one, and then next thing you know, I could see a second one, and then as soon as you know it, there's a third one, and they're as far on the horizon as I can see. So far out to see in the Indian Ocean. There's no land out there, just ocean.
Right.
And at first, they're all, it's like they're dancing together. They're just flying erratically, up and down, side to side. And then at that point, I knew this was, definitely unexplainable. Even more unexplainable and unlogical to the first sighting I had,
Wow.
But what got me was they were the exact same color, that this white, red, blinding light almost.
Wow. And it was, I mean, I'm sure it was a good distance, correct? I mean, you're looking at it straight up in the sky. How long did this episode last as far as the UFOs kind of dancing in the sky?
Well, overall, it went for about 10 minutes, I would say.
Wow, well, that's pretty long. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and at first they were just going erratically, like I just describe it as they were dancing together. But at one stage they started flying in formation. They would all go to the right or all go to the left, keeping the same distance between themselves, then go down and then go up, come back down, spread out again across the horizon. And I just thought, wow, this is actually amazing. And then the one thing that helped try to keep me sane was there was another group of fishermen that, hadn't really been paying attention to, but they were maybe 5 meters, 10 meters away from me. And one of them just shouts, "You guys seen this? Like, what the F is that?"
Right.
And then...
So they saw it too. They saw it too. That's good though. That's good when there's multiple witnesses. That's pretty neat right there. And I'm sure it was amazing to watch. Did you happen to have your phone or anything to record it, or you just kind of were just staring at it for a while there?
You know what? I always leave my phone in the car when I'm on the rocks fishing. I don't want to drop it or anything, and
right.
It's always a shame. Even with the first encounter, I did have my phone with me, but I've never had this. I can never think to quickly get out my phone and try to record this. It's like the last thing on my mind. Yeah. I'm just always in such an awe, as you would say.
Yeah, and amazement. I'm sure as well. Just trying to figure out what you're watching in the sky. Whether if it's one of ours, or is it a gray, or what it can be. Now, has any of your family ever talked about any of these things before, or anybody in your family line kind of talked about seeing anything like that, or stories that you've heard, or anybody in your area that has talked about anything like that?
No one in my family has at all, ever, and I've been afraid to bring it up because I've just, I think they would just think I'm crazy or something. It's just, this is only something that I really only told my partner,
Right,
and
right.
As you know, she's very skeptical.
Right. Yeah. We talked about that the other night. And I believe that these things are possibly visiting you, or they're watching you for some reason. And I believe that you might have made contact with these things prior, and not even remember that you did. And that's why when you woke up the first time and, in the middle of the night and you saw these beings standing there. Now, let me go back just to that real quick. Did they kind of try to speak to you telepathically, or they were just kind of standing there staring at you? Is that did you get anything out of that?
No, that's the thing. Yeah, I hear like they can communicate telepathically with people, but I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't experience that, which I'm not sure why. Maybe I wasn't ready, or maybe just in my state of sheer panic that I just blocked it out. I could still hear that vibrating sound in my head that was sort of drowning out any other sound. So,
and I can only,
unfortunately,
I can only imagine. I mean, I've seen a few crafts, in my lifetime already. So, I mean, I'm a true believer, of course, of these extraterrestrials and these crafts that are out there, because I've seen them, and seeing is believing too. Not just listening to these stories and watching them on YouTube or whatever, or however you watch videos, or Facebook, but there's a lot of things that that we can't see with the naked eye. A lot of times they have to use these spectrum analyzers in order to see these things, because we just can't see them. Their heat source is different. And they have these electronic magnetic fields that a lot of times our eye can't see either. So, the other day I posted a video on Facebook. I think it was last week. I was out there working. I saw this strange cloud. I decided to video it with my phone, right? Luckily, I got that nice iPhone, so I got a video of it. I sent it to my friend, I said, hey, check this out. It's just a strange cloud. Well, lo and behold, 2 crafts fly by. We couldn't even see with the naked eye, right?
Oh, wow.
Excuse me.
But on the video, that's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's just things that happen that we don't see normally every day. Yeah, no, your story's incredible. Now, have you witnessed anything else after that?
Well, no, but after seeing these 3 red UFOs, as I call them, on the horizon, they after they suddenly shot off, I couldn't tell if it was along the horizon or into the sky because they were quite far away. But I instantly believed I was going to have another encounter because after the first UFO sighting, that was when a few weeks later I had the dream where I made contact and then woke up with the blood and that. But I never had an encounter after this sighting, which surprised me because I really believed I was going to have one.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Well, I mean, it could mean a lot of different things, The only thing we can do is just wait, just to see if, they wanted to tell you something. It's a possibility. I've had stories to where, all they wanted to do was just get a message across, and they sometimes they use people to get messages across as far as like your area, the planet, or something that's happening there. There's, of course, there's bad grays out there and there's good ones too, where they won't hurt you. But, you had the blood coming out of your nose, we don't know what happened there, but I believe that maybe, slowly but surely you'll probably start getting these memories that are going to start coming back to you little by little, and possibly in dreams. But, they'll come back to you little by little until you start getting a full picture of exactly what happened, possibly that last encounter, you know what I mean? So that's a possibility, that might happen to you. But now it's been, more than a couple of years since you experienced that last one?
Yeah. Well, it's been just about 2 years since that last UFO encounter, and I sort of put everything on the back burner and tried not to think about it anymore. You know, I got busy with life, with, you know, my son and all that. But I got diagnosed with sort of like a terminal illness, but it's got a good prognosis.
Okay.
But
Okay. Wow.
I had a theory that maybe they don't want to visit me because you know, my genetics have gone bad or something like that. I've even tried the CE5 protocols and still haven't been able to engage, even though I'm a fairly good, as I'd like to say, in meditation. Still can't make that contact, but I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're doing the CE5 things, right, as well?
Yeah, I've only just started the past month. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of groups out there that actually, you know, do CE5s. I believe I had some, Melanie, and I'm trying to remember his name, but they were on my show last year, and they're CE5ers, I believe, out of California. And, you know, they have a lot of good stuff there, and they teach you how to do things like that as well. And, of course, the Unacknowledged that you saw with Dr. Greer, that's a great show to watch. And then I believe he's got a new one out, too, to see. And he has a lot of information, and he does nothing but CE5s, too. So he makes contact that way because they're an actual biological living entity, you know, that's out there, and there's some that you can communicate with. So, and you know, if that's what's going to give you closure, you know, by all means, keep on doing it. You know, as long as it didn't hurt you or anything like that. As long as you feel safe and comfortable, and that's a possibility that last dream that you had was, you know, like I kind of explained, was they were maybe just saying, hey, we're not going to hurt you. Almost like a welcome, you know, we're here, in other words, just kind of watching. So, you know, if you continue your C5s, there's a possibility you might end up, you know, doing an encounter, or just, you know, with your meditation will help. You know, I do believe meditation does help people. It kind of strengthens your inner aura, and gives you more strength, as far as gives you guidance and light, you know what I mean? So it helps you communicate with not just these extraterrestrials we want to communicate with, but you kind of make contact with the actual everything that's around you. In other words, you know what I mean? You're starting to feel things around you a little bit better, and you start feeling better.
Yeah.
You start feeling better yourself. So yeah, no, continue on doing that, D. And I just want to say thank you for being on the show today. And thank you for telling everyone your story. You know, it's an incredible story, and it's a big piece of the puzzle that I've been trying to put together for a long time. And now with these witness statements that you guys are giving on the air, and just bringing your stories out, it helps me and it helps everybody out there with the same cause in ufology and trying to understand extraterrestrials and what they're about. You know, and I applaud you for coming on the show. Thank you so much for contacting me and contacting the show. And, you know, I wanted to get you on the show, you know, right away, because I thought that your story was very incredible, and it coincides with Amanda's story as well. You know, but no, thank you so much for being on the show, D.
No, thank you, Donald. I really appreciate it. You know, when I first sent you the message on the Facebook page, I really didn't think my story would be interesting enough to be offered a chance to come on the show and talk. But I was quite surprised when you asked me to, and I felt, you know, quite flattered. You know, it was.
Oh yeah,
you gave me a nice opportunity to get my story out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did, and I'm so glad you did, and you know, I know you're out there in the middle of nowhere, you know, but you know what, you know, we're still keeping an eye out, and we're going to keep an eye out for you, and if anything else, you know, comes up or happens, you know, later or something, and if you want to come back on the show, you know, and tell some more of your story, we'll be glad to have you on, brother. You know, and like I said, you know, we're all here, you know, on the same page, and we're trying to find out the same answers all together. And your help and Amanda's help and everybody that has come on the show helps bring all this together, and so that way we can actually get a big picture of what's happening. But again, thank you so much, D, for being on the show today. And like I said, prayers to you and everything that's going on, and for a speedy recovery for you as well. And then we'll catch you on the next one, okay?
Yeah, no worries, Donna. Sounds really good. Thanks for that. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we'll talk to you later, all righty?
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. All the best.
Yes, sir. You too. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. Now, was that an amazing story that he had there? All those things he went through, and he wanted to get it off his chest. He wanted all of you guys to hear his stories, because he's been living with this since the age of 11, wondering what happened to him. Going through all these effects, sleep paralysis, witnessing these shadow figures in his room, knowing what they were. He also witnessed the UFOs, not just by himself, but with friends. And the dream that he had of actually seeing a gray gray and actually touching its hand, right? And when that happened, he woke up right away, but with a bloody nose. Now, did something happen to him? Was he abducted at that point? He doesn't remember. But I'm glad he came on the show, and I'm glad he gave his experiences to you guys, so that way everybody can understand that he's not the only one out there. We have Amanda out there too, right? Other people that have come on this show and have explained themselves, wrote books on it, in which I'm going to do as well. And this is for you guys. I hope it helps you guys. I hope it helps you guys heal in a sense. If you are going through something similar to this, I do have a podcast on sleep paralysis, and that's number 49. If you have a chance, check that out. And that's going to give an in-depth look back on what's happening to you during sleep paralysis. And I dissect that happens to you when you're in between REM sleep. Right? So go back, check out that podcast. They say at least 4 out of 10 people get sleep paralysis. And there's all different kinds of that sleep paralysis. Of course, I think there's like 4 types. They come with all kinds of hallucinations as well. But not saying he was hallucinating. He was awake. He was seeing these things. And that's what I told him. When somebody witnesses you having sleep paralysis standing next to you, that's very rare, but it has happened. What he experienced, I believe, was real. And it just doesn't happen to just one type of person. It happens to a lot of people out there that we just don't get to listen to. And I'm glad they come on there and tell their stories. And thank you. Thank you, Dee, for coming out. He's from Australia. Thank you for telling your story. David Olive, thanks you. Donna Ledesma, thanks you. We all thank you. Kelly Green, we all thank you. Paul Wilbert, we all thank you. We all listen to the show. They all listen to the show. And many more people out there, thank you for coming out and telling your story. Because it's all a piece of the puzzle that's coming together little by little. And if he does have any more stories later, I'll get him back on the show and we'll talk about it some more, or anybody else out there. It's been my pleasure to bring this content out to you guys. And I think it's so important that it's out there. And I dissect a lot of these things that are happening to people because I'm trying to put it together, and I hope it helps them. And I think there's a lot of these things that are happening to them, and the way I explain it to them helps them in a sense and gives them a little bit of peace, an inner peace. And that's what we do here at Alien Strand. You know, this was a great podcast. Great podcast. And you can catch us on 23, 24 platforms. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and alienstrand.com. Catch us on YouTube as well. I'll be throwing out some new stuff out there for you guys. Alien Strand docs, little stories, while I'm writing the book. So the podcast might slow down a little bit, but I'm still going to get the information out there to you one way or another, okay? Don't forget to catch Let's Productions on Facebook. Catch us there too. You know, everything we do here at Alien Strand, for ufology, for everybody, we all appreciate each and every one of you. If you can, download the Alien Strand app. It's free. It's on the Google Play. Download it there. Sign in. And every time there's a live podcast, you can interact with me just like all these people did with me today. Thank you guys for doing that. I really appreciate you. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Beavers from The Theory, and you are listening to Alien Strand Podcast, the dopest UFO alien podcast out there. And if you want to find out about me, just go on YouTube and search UFOs over UFO or The Theory with Mike Beavers. Stay tuned, guys.
This episode is brought to you by Let's Productions. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. See you there.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.